Hi, I'm Valentina Bourbon and I'm the CEO of Banter Group. Thanks for joining me for the Frasers Property Retailer Academy webinar for social media. This session is all for beginners and I hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome to the Frasers Property webinar for the Retailer Academy. We're going to be looking at social media for beginners today with a focus on Facebook and Instagram. Now, in terms of the agenda and what we'll be looking at, going over all the platforms and a little bit about the algorithms, talking about your marketing objectives, all the actions that you can take that make social media work, and then we'll be looking at analysing that activity as well for you. So before we can talk about platforms, what we do need to talk about is the zero moment of truth from Google. Now, initially in the early stages, we had a piece of advertising that we would take home, buy this product that we'd seen, and then have an opinion about that product within our homes. And what digital has changed and where social media actually fits in is in this big green circle here. Now, this is new behaviour that has really erupted from our digital age. And we've said, now we see this piece of marketing or material, then we search for it. We actually jump onto Google and have a look. And so search plays a big role in our discovery. Next, we'll read some reviews and see if the product or service meets our expectations. And then next, we move into watching some videos, seeing if that product still serves our needs. And then we also have asking our network, which is where we're asking our friends or people in the know if they can make a recommendation on products and services. So when we start talking about social media, you really need to take into consideration that that's what's happening. Now, Facebook and Instagram are very, very different platforms. On the left-hand side, we've got Facebook. Now, this has been around for 15 years. It's very personal and people read the posts. Now, on the other side, you've got Instagram that's very public. You don't have to know everyone that follows you and you don't have to know the people that you follow. And because it's a very public space, we don't have this timeline that actually follows us. But what we do see is people seeing posts rather than reading posts, and Instagram is a very visual platform. So on Facebook, we have all these different content options, and Instagram, we've got limited content options. On Facebook, we want that engagement. It's designed for engagement. So the engagement is defined as a like, a comment, a share, or a tag. And on Instagram, well, we're not really expecting a lot of engagement because we don't offer a lot of engagement options. But when we look at customer behavior and what consumers actually do, they're more likely to engage with a piece of content on Instagram than they are on Facebook. So keep that in mind. Now on Facebook as well, we don't have to follow everyone that's following us, but in Insta on the other side, it's all about you follow me, I'll follow you. Facebook is very much about sharing content, whereas Instagram, they actually make it really difficult for you to be able to share content from somebody else. Now, Instagram, the big difference is that it relies on hashtags to be able to find original content. Because sharing isn't easy on purpose, that's actually a really big difference between the two platforms. Now, when we look at algorithms, I'm going to start with Facebook, and these algorithm changes regularly. So whilst I'm showing you this now, it can change very quickly. Now, firstly, Facebook has a whole world of information that they're trying to put into user feeds, and that's called inventory. And it basically looks at, out of all the friends and pages that you follow, Facebook has to decide how is it going to show you, specifically one user, out of all that content, things that you're going to want to see. So the more people that are following and engaging, the harder it is actually to get into someone's feed. Then you have signals, and this is based on a person posting, and it looks at things like, who are your friends? What type of content do they like? What type of content do you like? What have you watched recently? And have you provided negative feedback or commented on any of these posts in the past? So once it looks at all those signals, it looks at the inventory, it can then decide, and it's a prediction, what you like to see. And that's how it decides what a user like me will end up in my feed from retailers like you. So those predictions become really powerful when we start putting layers of interest and targeting over the top of the prediction. Now, essentially, that will deliver a score to Facebook that says, okay, now we know that this person likes this type of content in the morning, this type in the afternoon, that it's connected to 10 different posts or brands that they like, and it gives that person a score. Now, the higher the score, the higher chance you have of being at the top of someone's feed. Now, this is why you might notice that you'll constantly see updates in your own feed from people that you know or liaise with on a regular basis versus people that you might not see very often. So Facebook and this algorithm prioritizes posts that actually get a lot of engagement early on. And when I say early on, that's the first hour of posting. So when you're posting in Facebook, the key thing you need to take out as a brand new business or a new business page is that only 1% to 2% of your total fan base are going to see that post. That's right. If you've got 10,000 followers, 10,000 people do not get your post in their feed in the first place. And this is Facebook's way of making money on the platform. It makes total sense. It's not anything that's unexpected. They're a media platform that are trying to make money. So if you can encourage engagement with your posts as quickly as possible and start a conversation there, that's when Facebook will actually reward you and naturally or organically, which means for free, show that post to more people in their feed, which increases your exposure. Instagram, on the other hand, quite a different platform. It starts to look at what they think you want to see, and it doesn't rely on chronological order. It also looks at posts that generate a lot of engagement early on. So if you can actually create content that is useful, that's encouraging people to take action, this is what's going to drive the biggest engagement. It looks at friends and family because Facebook owns Instagram. So it tends to look for relationships that you have either within Facebook or within Insta and then shows those people first. And it looks at those signals again and how often you're engaging with people's content. Now, because the ranking feed doesn't just look at video, it does look at photo formats. But one big tip for Instagram is the more features that they release, the more features you should be using. And the more you use them, the more the algorithm rewards you. So then we move into our planning stage. Now, planning is probably the biggest part of social media. And I want to take you through some very basic profile setup. So for Insta, this is Banter Group, this is my agency. Firstly, you need to make sure that this profile is a business account. Now, if you've set up a personal account, it means that you won't be able to put any advertising through your platform, and you also won't get any statistics or analysis from what you're posting. So it's really important that you have a business account. Next is having a current and recognizable logo as your profile picture. And this is consistency. So you can see our Banter B here, and that is consistent across all of our marketing, our website, and our social profiles. Now, the bio section is this description here. You have very valuable fields and they've all got character counts. So you need to make that bio section work with the best description of your business, your phone number, your website address, so that people can find you. Now, what's valuable about the bio in Instagram is that it's searchable. So if people are using key terms like florist or flowers and your suburb name, then they're going to be able to search through that bio. That's what it's actually going to do in Insta and helps you be discovered and be found. Now, a big part of Instagram is the story highlights. We'll get to stories and highlights, but I wanted to show you what they look like. And these are banters. They are branded, so they've been designed by us, and they're actually like a cover image that describes the work that we do. A lot of people just take a picture and make that picture their highlight. It's not easy to recognize a lot of what those pictures are, and branded highlights actually lift the entire brand of your business from a marketing perspective, not just from making it really easy, but making it look really good as well. Now, there's only one link in Instagram that works, and that's called the link in the bio. So I've got a link here. Mine's actually not just my web address, it's called Linktree. I'll talk about those links a little later, but the big piece to take out from there is that you can only have one link in the entire framework of Instagram, and that is the link. So that should be your website address or a link tree, which I'll explain a little later on. Next, we have Facebook. This is Banter's Facebook page, making sure that your profile is a business account and that you have a recognizable logo. So you can see that I've started to create the consistency already. Next, we have this cover image here. Now, your cover image can be changed regularly, and we recommend that you should update this monthly. Now, it should represent your business. So a lot of people do put in abstract pictures here, which loses the context for the business. So make sure that's really clear. And in retail, it's a great space to be able to put in offers, seasonal offers, things that are coming up for your business. Anything that is relative to your business but is also recognizable. Now, there is an About Us section in Facebook that most people forget about. Now, it's over here. This is called your left-hand side menu. And you can see there's a button here for About. Now, that About section should really be a bit of personality about your business. It can be including images. It can include links. This is where you get to tell the whole story. It's almost like where you get to put a mini part of your website or who you are into the About section of Facebook. So add some personality there. Make sure all of the setup for your profile has the correct contact details, trading hours. You can include a map reference so it's easy to find you, and also review all of the buttons on the left-hand side. They are customizable. So you can see I have a button for Meet the Team. If you go to Banter Group and have a look at Meet the Team, what you'll see is it takes you through to a team page, a description of each of my team members. So don't just take the standard basic profile setup that you're given from Facebook. You should be customizing these as best as you can. And that includes the big blue button. So you can see here, there's sign up. That's what we've created for Banter. Now for your business, that might be call now. It could be learn more, or for me, signing up to a newsletter, because email marketing is pretty significant. So consider all of these parts of your setup, and they're the basic profile establishments that you should be going through before you do anything. Now, when we start to look at Instagram, there's lots of different things that are going to come into play, but there are some very basic rules going on. So at a feed level, you need to comment on other people's accounts and also follow anyone who follows your page. The only way to really grow an Instagram account without putting money into it is to make sure that you're engaged in your community, in people that are following you and people that you're following. So search for other local businesses and also search for local hashtags and location tags. Now, I'll come to tags later, but a lot of people are familiar with a hashtag Eastern Creek Quarter, for example. You can actually search this in Google, search the hashtag in Facebook or Instagram, and it'll show you a result of anyone who is using that tag, and that piece of content means that they're all using that same tag that you are in relation to. So the more people that are interested in Eastern Creek Quarter and seeing what's happening will be able to see your content just by using that hashtag. So use things that people are using locally as well, and search for local people, search for their accounts, add friendly comments. You're trying to build an online relationship with people that you may not have met. But this is the quickest and easiest way in the Instagram feed to start growing your profile. Now, in Instagram, we can have up to 30 hashtags per post and 3 hashtags per Instagram story. This is highly recommended. It might look spammy to you, but it's natural within this platform. And that is how your content gets discovered and how people engage with you and grows your actual profile account. Now, a lot of people ask me if hashtags at the bottom of the post or the comments section perform better than one another. There is absolutely no difference in the algorithm as to whether or not you have the hashtags in the post or in the comments section. One recommendation is to have the hashtags slightly further apart from the caption, so the writing that you're putting next to your post, just to make it easier to read for a user. Now, some of these quick tips in all of your planning comes down to the photography or the images that you're actually using. Now, you don't need to have a professional photographer involved. What you do need to have, though, is some basic beginner rules around your photography and your imagery. So you can use your iPhone or your smartphone, but I highly recommend that you start by cleaning your lens. So a good photo can only be based on what's coming through a camera. Look at your focus and the exposure, and that really does mean good lighting. Make sure that you test your photo. Don't just take one and post it. Have a look at it and see, is the sun in the right place? Do you have shade covering your face or covering an item? Is it in focus? And actually look at it on a bigger screen, not just on your own mobile phone. So composition is looking at what's in the background as well. A lot of people forget that there might be someone walking in the background. It could be something that you didn't necessarily see when you first took the picture. So you really want to start looking at what that looks like in a final image. Don't forget landscape or portrait format. Now, YouTube is built for a landscape format, but Instagram and Facebook are built for a portrait format. So don't forget that when you're loading something up into Instagram, you can end up with the sides cut off your photo, and they do need to be resized for the platform. So try and get a variety of shot sizes so that you can play around with them, because the biggest mistake that I see on all social media is that no one has formatted the image size for the platform that they're using, and then it leaves you a really poor experience from my perspective, from a user's perspective, and also from the feed. It looks like it's very half-baked. If you're going to do something, do it right. So I really recommend that you follow these very clear rules in photography and the image selection for your profiles. Now, tone of voice is all about how you write, speak, and act, and even just how you're perceived in the social world. So start thinking about how you want to be perceived by your customers, what sort of words you use. If you're going to use pop culture or abbreviations and modern language, my example here is, if we're going to talk about FOMO, does everyone know what FOMO means? And does your audience know what they mean? Try not to use exclamation points because it does feel like screaming, but if it's part of your personality as well, then it's completely okay. Just don't overdo it. And the same goes for capital letters. A lot of people in writing can see capital letters as screaming, yelling, or angry, but use it when you're excited. Use it sparingly so that it actually has the impact that you're looking for. Watch out for your grammar, your spelling, your punctuation. It all depends on the brand that you are and if you want to have a little bit of fun with it. So that's also things like LOL and all the other abbreviations of common terms. Just keep an eye on it. With your sentences in digital, we tend to scan our copy. So we want short but effective sentences. Just be clear and straight to the point. You can still tell quite long stories, particularly in Instagram, but remember that Facebook is the platform where people do a lot of reading, and Instagram is where they see posts and move on quite quickly. A big tip from me: write the way you speak. It's usually a lot easier than trying to craft something that doesn't really feel like you. And the comment here, don't be a keyboard warrior. Be careful about what you're talking about. There's an old saying, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics. It's a good position to take on social. Only say on social what you're prepared to say to somebody's face and to defend yourself. So don't try and be the keyboard warrior who has an opinion on everything because you're hiding behind a screen. Now we have hashtags, and to explain hashtags and how they work, we really need to look firstly at what they are. And what they are searchable pieces of text. Now that means that if I am looking for jewelry, and this is my Instagram screenshot, I'm looking for fashion jewelry. You can see I started typing it, and the moment I started typing it, Instagram starts to make recommendations for me to follow. Now, the wonderful thing is that as a user on Instagram, I can actually follow a hashtag. Now, as you can see here, I'm following fashion jewelry American spelling or Australian spelling, and there's a big variance here between the number of posts in each one. Now, a user can actually follow a hashtag rather than follow a profile or an account. Now, that's a very big deal because people are going to discover things based on interests that they have, like jewelry, and then when they discover your content within this hashtag, they can follow your particular profile. So hashtags have a few different rules, and that's here in the green box. We don't have spaces, we don't use punctuation marks, there's no special characters, and we use sentence case to make long versions easier to read. So you can see here, marketing agency Southern Highlands is quite difficult to read. I could actually make the capital M, A, S, and H a capital letter, which will make it much easier to read in sentence case. Now, we don't usually include there's no preset list of hashtags to search for. You can create your own, and you can also just start by typing this in straight into Instagram or Facebook to see what comes up and what people are using. So I've got a list here as well, education or social media training or real estate training, depending on what I'm doing. And you can also see here you've got ECQ, depending on what you're really looking for. Learned something new, bit of fun. Now, yes, hashtags can have a little bit of fun built into it. So this is a tool that you can use. It's called Display Purposes, and you can see it just here, displaypurposes.com. Go to that website. All you need to do is put in one word. Now, I've put in the word food, and what it'll do when you hit submit is give you 30 different hashtags related to the word food. Now, I don't normally use the words nom nom or delish or feed, but these are the terms that other people are using. You can also see here that we've got different language hashtags coming up. So if you are targeting different languages, different cultures, you can certainly include hashtags that they will be using to discover your content. Now, I thought this was quite fun. Eats. Now, I don't speak like that, but I'm not the customer. If your customer speaks like that, or you can see that that's a very useful tag to be discovered, then I would definitely include things like this. The next step of creating and managing your profiles is reviews. So I've got here ask and you shall receive, and that is because if you ask the Australian public to write you a review, they likely will, but they won't do it all off their own bat. So you do have to ask them. You should ask them at certain intervals. You should encourage them with storefront signs as well that say, please leave us a review if you've had a good experience here, because it can make an enormous difference. If you remember my graph of the 0 moment of truth, one of the key areas in there that influences decision making in social and digital are actually reviews and recommendations. Lastly, in this area, we have different content ideas. Now, what you'll see here, the first list that I've put together is local. Now, when you're coming up with ideas for all of your social, you do need to think about what am I going to post, when am I going to post it, and what does my audience care about? We need to stop acting like businesses and start thinking like the customer. So putting together a content plan or a calendar, or even just documenting some ideas that you might have over time, makes your planning for social much, much easier. So at a local level, there's what we call an authority to talk about. So you've got the right to talk about, this is me, this is us, this is our team, this is our history and our story. We can talk about special offers for locals on different days of the week. We could show pictures of our clients and perhaps what they purchased, or our customers, or sharing another local business post or something that might complement your business. So let's just say you're a florist. You could say, here's a great Mother's Day gift coming up for you, which is a bunch of flowers plus the chocolates from the chocolate shop down the road, plus some pajamas from a fashion retailer, for example. You can also post things like customer reviews. People like to see those reviews and those testimonials. Next is other collaborations that you might be able to put together to band certain businesses together at one time. You can talk about our region, how it may have developed over time, how it may have looked 15 years ago in terms of living there or from a shopping precinct, and simple basic development like the local main street may have upgraded, trees can grow. You can talk about why you love to live local, why you love your job. You've on top of that got all of your national retailer events, things like Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Father's Day coming up in September. All of those things create content opportunities. And on top of all of that, if you're within a shopping centre, obviously having all your localised events to drive foot traffic, which could be any type of school holiday activities or stage performances or special events happening in and around the area. Now, this is just one section of content based on local that you would be able to create content for. So don't get stuck by thinking, I don't have anything to say and I don't have anyone to say it to. You just need to have a plan. So the second part of your content plan and content ideas could be all about your products and services. So what do you have? What problem does it solve? Is it new? Is it out of stock, which means it's in high demand? Do we have long lead times? I've got a hashtag TBT, which is a throwback Thursday. This is very, very common in social media where people like to look back at what happened. You know, Thursday is an opportunity to feel nostalgic and also share things that may have happened in your business. So, you know, on this day 5 years ago, 2 years ago, last week, you can have some fun there. Different events that you've attended either locally around your products and services. So it could be you implementing different thinking or ideas or collaborations around your products and services, and also adding to someone else's article. So if someone's commenting on certain trends, you might have an opinion on that and you can jump in as well. Now, products and services could still be your favorite places within your complex, and it's all about you, and it all comes under one banner of your product, your service. Now, on top of this, we can keep building on this. You can talk about things that are happening in your community, your involvement in the community, how you may be impacted by certain things that are happening around the world. At the moment, we're in the middle of COVID-19. We had bushfires earlier this year. We have restricted international travel probably for the rest of 2020. So what are some of those impacts that you might want to be able to talk about as well? Now, putting a content plan together, I've started a very basic plan for you here. Now, the first thing you'll notice is it runs for 7 days a week, not just business days. Now, this will be relevant for some businesses and irrelevant for others. You need to think about where your customers are on what certain days, and are they on Facebook and are they on Instagram? So for each of the coloured sections, so the grey section, this is 1 week, but 2 platforms, another week, 2 platforms. And so what you essentially have in this grid is a 1 month planner. So what I've tried to do is dovetail the content that we're going to post on Facebook on Monday can become the content for Instagram on Tuesday. Now, there is one magical button on Instagram when you're posting, and it says share to Facebook. Now, do not use that button. That's your worst enemy, and I'll show you that shortly. So Using the same content that you create, but on both platforms on different days, not automatically on the same day, and also mixing up your content as well. So you can see here that there might be 2 days on a Thursday that aren't having a post, and then it can change. There's Fridays that don't have a post. It all comes down to what your business is and if it's relevant. Now, you have to really think about, do my customers care about a dentist, for example, on a Friday night? And I would probably say, no, they wouldn't. Depending on what you're telling them. So if it's a routine check, I don't think that content would be interesting. If it's, I need an emergency dentist who is open on a Friday night, then that's a great post to use. So having a content plan, a blank version of the document you see in front of you, is something that will become really useful in terms of being able to present content for your whole business that makes sense, but it's also based on what makes sense for your customers. Next, we're going to have a look at posting. Now, before we actually get into the platforms themselves and have a look, I'd like to be able to show you firstly what we should be looking for. So when you're posting, having certain things in the post itself helps you actually be discovered and grow your platform. So tagging, mentions, and using the @ symbol is how you start to do this. So tagging a business or mentioning another business or a person starts by using the @ symbol and then typing their name. Now, typically in both Facebook and Insta, the handle, that's what the name is called, will start to come up based on using that search functionality. Now, as well as this, we need to be using hashtags within our posts and using between 3 and 30 hashtags depending on Facebook or Insta, as I mentioned before, whilst you're writing your own commentary. Now, that's where it's called a caption, and it's where you put in what you would like to say, what message you're trying to convey to your audience. Now, when you're sharing other people's content, it's not good enough just to share. What you need to do is add your commentary to add value to what it is that you're sharing. So let's just say it's a restaurant sharing a florist's posts. It could be that the restaurant talking about the fact they use this particular florist for all of their table settings and their entry foyer. That's just one example, but it could also be that they are able to, as a florist, deliver for you last minute orders. It could be quite unique designs. It has to be about what it does for you. So adding a call to action as well is simply saying, what do you want them to do? Next on the list is looking at maintaining frequency and consistency. And again, this is where the algorithms kick in and say, if you're not there regularly, we're going to downgrade you in the algorithm, because what people are looking for in social are things that are recent and things that are frequent. So customers learn to expect that if you're not there after a certain amount of time, then they're no longer going to find you valuable. If you can't commit to a social platform with frequency and consistency, then I'd suggest that you put your time and energy somewhere else. So make sure that you are posting regularly and with consistency. So following other people, again, the algorithm is looking for the follow you, follow me economy. When people follow you as a business, they're expecting you to follow them back, but it also makes them feel really good. So give them something to follow you for, and commenting on other people's profiles with your own comments and engaging with them simply shows the human factor to the algorithm. Adding your local tags like hashtag Barrel or Southern Highlands or your town or suburb can make a big difference with your discoverability. The last point here is being creative. Now on the right-hand side it shows use built-in features, video, live, stories, filters, stickers and polls. If you're unsure about any of these, this is what's going to follow in the rest of this webinar for you. We're going to jump in and actually show you what some of these platforms look like. So make sure that you're using as much as possible so that we can tell the algorithm that you're there, you're active, and to be actually showing you to more people so they can discover you. So let's have a look now at being able to actually post. So you can see this is my phone's home screen. And I'm going to just go here and click on Facebook, and it opens up my actual profile. As you can see, this is me. So the first thing I need to do is just to navigate to my business page, which is Banter Group, to be able to show you a few things. And you can see that this is now my actual page. So Once you have a business page as well, this is what it should start to look like. And you can see the big blue button down here that says Create Post. Now, once you hit that, you open up a dialog box and I can actually start typing what might be on my mind here or in terms of what I'm going to actually post. And you can see here that I have a range of different options to scroll through. So if I'm going to simply take a picture, I can use my camera. If I'm going to take one from my actual gallery, so a picture I've already taken, I can pick this option here. I can move to a background color, or I can go live. Now, this is where you actually go live in terms of a video straight to Facebook, and it will be a live environment. Now you can see there's plenty of different options, including the check-in button. Now the check-in button is what I've been mentioning so far, that we should be able to put in places that are close to us. It'll pick up my GPS location so you can see that I am in Bowral, and that's where I can pick exactly where I want to say that I am. And as you can see, Banter Group is just up here. Now, as you go through all of these different options, you can see I've got a calendar reminder coming up on my phone, but this is essentially where I can start typing hi or any other message, and I can start changing, adding a picture, adding something from my gallery, adding some video, or even emojis and GIFs that are available. Now the pin here is most definitely my location button, so that can certainly help from there. So that's where posting is as easy as that. Now let's have a look at posting straight to Instagram. So again, here's Instagram on my phone's home screen. It'll open up my Instagram account. You can see that I'm already signed in as Banter Group and my B there for Banter. Now, what you're going to see on this screen, the first few things that you should notify is your home screen, and this is where you'll be able to scroll through all of your posts. Secondly, you've got your magnifying glass. This is where I'm able to search for different things, and my search field is there. Next, I have my plus symbol. This is where I'm going to add my own post, and my daughter has had my phone, so you can see that's the most recent thing in my gallery. Next is your homepage screen. Now this goes into all of your own analytics, all of your own statistics, and you can start scrolling through your own feed and your own activity. Now across the top we have stories. Now stories are 24-hour pieces of content. They expire in 24 hours. We don't want content to expire in 24 hours, so we need to create what are called story highlights. Now I'm going to just hit my B again, and you can see here are my story highlights, and I can scroll across. So I'm going to show you how to add a story and add it to your highlights as well. Just need to be careful that I don't post my own daughter's artwork to my own profile. Now you can see here with the heart, this is where I'm receiving my notifications, and you can see exactly who's been following me, who's liked my page. Now I mentioned before that we should be following people who follow us, so I'm going to hit the follow button. And now I'm following Access Events in Sydney. Now I've also got someone here, it looks like a chef in Bangkok. That looks interesting. We will follow them too. Now I can scroll through my list here, and you can see I can start picking up who I haven't followed already and put in a request to follow them straight away. I'm going to go back to my home page, and you'll see here there's a little arrow. It's called the error plane. If you hear the paper plane being mentioned in Instagram, that's what it is. And they are my direct messages. And you can see here that someone has responded to me, yes, and a few different pictures and emojis. And I can tap on that and I'll be able to see exactly what they posted. Now, most of the time, they can expire if someone has tagged you when it's talking about a story. Now, across here with your stories, I can watch these stories simply by tapping on the first one here, and it'll actually play through this particular artist's work. Now, if I tap here on the right-hand side of my screen, it's actually going to move me through each of the different posts. So I can get through quite quickly. simply by tapping. And if I decide that there are too many of these, now you can see here at the top, well, I've just rolled over, there's quite a few little dashes at the top. Now this is what's telling me how many stories there are to actually watch in this particular one. And as I'm tapping, it will simply move forward. If I decide there are too many of these for me to want to watch, all I have to do is swipe my finger over from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, and it takes me straight to the next one rather than going through each of the individual ones as well. So that's how Stories is working. Now, posting. It's pretty simple. What we do is go to the plus button, and the first thing that you get is an option of your gallery. So I'm just going to pick this picture here. This is steps that I have in my back garden, and all you have to do is follow the bouncing ball. Now when I say follow the bouncing ball, there's a big next button. Before we hit the next button, I'd like to show you what some of these actually mean. So the best way to discover Instagram is just to have a click and play. So let's have a look at what happens when we pick the loop button. Well, this is opening up Boomerang. Now, hopefully you've seen Boomerang before. There's a great example here of a short video clip on a loop. Now, I'm not going to install Boomerang, but that's certainly what that little option means. Next is this one. Now, that looks like it's a good description. It's actually a collage. Now, it's allowing you to have 3 or 4 photos in the one picture. So I could be changing my layout simply by saying, okay, how do I want it to work? Do I want to mirror this picture? There's the mirror, or I could flip my picture. And it's simply a case of having a play around. Next, I have this one, and this is what's called a multi-image picture, and it's simply allowing me to pick more than one picture. And you can see I'm just going to pick a couple. There's an Easter egg we painted, and it's going to be in a multiple image set. So let's have a look at what that looks like now. You can see I have my stairs, I have camping, and I have a bunny rock. Now, the next thing you'll see is all the way down here are all your filters. Now, filters can be applied to all of these images, and what you need to do is go through one by one and edit them. So if you'd like to apply these different filters to your photos, you can start to pick them. You can see I've just picked Clarendon and then Gingham, and as I scroll across, the image filter will be applied. Now, this is a great way to be able to show consistency in your pictures. So if you'd like the certain filter that you found, so I'm going to pick something that's a little bit, there we go, a little bit brighter. Amaro is what I've picked. And then I can scroll across, pick my next one and apply Monaro to it as well. Now you can change the gradients. This is where Instagram becomes quite fun. You can do lots of different things, and as I hit next, it starts to process my pictures. Now it gives me an option. Now this is where I can write my caption, anything I'd like to say about this particular post. I can tag people. So again, I've hit tag people. I tap on the stairs themselves, and the moment that I hit the @ symbol, it's going to start bringing up names based on what I type. So I'm just going to type my husband's name here, James. And it should start coming up with his name. I'm going to search for him. There he is, and I can tag him. Now, you can see straight away, this is how his name now appears at my staircase. I hit the tick button, he's tagged there, and I can tag multiple people. So this is a great way within a retail space to be able to tag businesses around you, the center that you're actually in, or any high profile VIP clients of your own. You can add your tag, and again, you can see it's already picking up my GPS location. It knows that I'm in Bowral, and then I post it, share. What I don't want you to do is use this, also post to Facebook. This magic button here is what's going to hurt your algorithm. Now you can see there it's very clear that it's going to post to Banter Group's Facebook page. Now I don't want this to happen for a number of reasons. Firstly, we don't want the same content on both platforms at exactly the same time. I mentioned that before. It will hurt you in the algorithm. Otherwise, me, customer, when I'm on Facebook or I'm on Instagram, I don't want to see exactly the same thing in both places. Otherwise, I have no purpose to have both platforms active. So I'm just going to cancel out of doing this, and I would like to show you how to do a story. So stories are fairly straightforward. You can see here it says your story and a plus button. So put your finger on the plus button, just hold it down until this message appears and it says add to your story. So I'm going to add to the story, and again it picks up straight away my camera feed, and I'm not asking to take a picture. I'm going to use my gallery. Here's my gallery here. It's already saved to my phone. There's the stairs again. Let's pick the stairs. And this is where the fun begins. When I mentioned before that we need to use all the inbuilt features, this is exactly what I was referring to. Now, we have across the top a series of features. And again, the best way to explore Instagram's features is to start playing around with them. So let's start over here with the spelling. And this is where we can type anything that we want on this picture. So I'm just going to type wow. And you can see here at the top, we've got what's called modern. And that's just the name of the font. So let's switch that out. It says neon and that changes it. Otherwise, we've got typewriter and we've got the strong version of the font, and then it'll come back to classic and modern. Now, the wonderful part when you've now written any text that you'd like onto the post, what we can do is simply put your finger actually on the word that you've just typed, and then you can start to drag it around. Now, using your pinch, so your thumb and your forefinger, you can also pinch and expand it or make it smaller. You can turn it around, straighten it back up, and we can do all sorts of things with that copy text. Now you might say, I really like the white, but let's change color. So you simply go back to your text button and now pick one of the colors that you would like. So let's just pick a nice pinky red. Oh. There you go. And now you have the copy text there. Now moving across the top, what we also have are other features. So I would like you to play around with some of these because it's really hard to teach every single little piece, but let's just have a look at the first squiggly line. So you can see here there's different types of pencil thickness or texture thickness. You can just pick one if you like, and then you can actually squiggle all around your picture. Now if you say, oh dear, what did I do that for? In the top left hand corner you have the undo arrow, so you can actually undo a few of your steps. Next one across the top is actually the sticker here. So this has the most features built into it. Now straight away the first sticker that you see come up is actually stay home. So this is where you might have noticed other people's COVID-19 posts actually encouraging you to stay home. Food orders off the back of all of our rules and restrictions, a thank you message. Now these are specifically from COVID-19, not to date things, but then we move on to things here. So your location tag. Now don't forget, location tags mean that people will be able to find you. Now I'm using a pinch and drag option here so I can put things in place. I'll go back to my stickers and now I have an @ mention. So an @ mention, this is going to tag myself, Valentina, as an individual. and all I have to do is start typing the tag of my own self. Now, as soon as I get halfway through, you can see here, Valentina 1975, that's me. I will be tagged there. Again, using my pinch and drag option, I can move things around. And going back to hashtags. So they're the first 3 things that you should put on everything. I'm going to put pool goals as my hashtag. And you can see here, it's already coming up with different options. And with this particular one, I quite like that. It's already using some emojis next to my hashtag, so I'm going to use that one. Again, pinch, drag and drop, making it a little bit smaller, bigger, essentially. Now, there are loads of other options that you can pick. You can see here that there could be a challenge, it could be a poll, it could be using an animated GIF or asking some questions, comments, countdowns, all these things that you may have seen. Now, there's so many to choose from. I can't really run through all of the list. Every single one of your emojis is there as well. But one thing I'll mention, and that is, if I wanted to have more than one hashtag, what I can do is just start typing it. So I might type something like landscape design, and so that it doesn't look spammy, I can actually put 2 hashtags together, for example, and then cover them up with a large sticker. So that sticker might be something like a flaming flame, and using my pinch, whoops, wrong one, using my pinch, I can cover up hashtags. Now, I wouldn't necessarily put it right in the middle, but it does show you that you can actually have a number of different hashtags in the post and not have to worry about it looking too spammy. Now, as soon as I would hit send to at the bottom, it tells me, would you like to add this to your banter story? And then of course, the little drop down for adding to my Facebook story. And I can choose whether or not that's what I would like to do. So at this stage, no, I'm not going to share my stairs, but you can certainly see what's happened there. And I'll just discard that photo. So going back to what we were talking about with stories and story highlights. Now you can see here that Banter has highlights running across the top here. Now I had donated blood earlier today and I had posted it as a story. So here we can watch the story. So notice firstly that there is a pink circle around Banter's B. That indicates there is a story to watch. So let's watch that. And here it is. And it says, Corona ain't stopping this roadshow at Lifeblood AU, which is the Australian Red Cross blood service. I've tagged that I'm in Barrel and I picked up my water and a salty snack as a blood donor. So I've posted this to my stories and now I have an option, you can see down here, to post it to my highlight. So let me just show you that again. Down here. Now when I hit highlight, which means where do you want to add it? And I have a choice. Do I add it to any one of these options? Is it in the know? Is it the banter, which is the fun stuff? Is it education or is it our work? So it's definitely the banter. So I'm just going to press that button and it's now added to that reel of highlights, which means it won't expire in 24 hours. So the next area of Instagram that I'm going to take you through is analysing your content and also looking at what you can do to optimise your content based on those statistics. So the first area you need to go to is at the top here. It's called the burger menu with the 3 lines. Now when we hit that, you've got a few different options, and the one I'd like you to look at is here, your insights. So once I have these insights in here, what you'll notice firstly is the time frame. You're only able to look at a 2-week period on Instagram. So if you're looking for further than that, you need to actually download all of your statistics or use a third-party tool to be able to bring that out. So I can see that I've got 5 stories and posts from this week in this period. Now I'm going to just go to see all so that I can have a look individually at each of these different areas, and that is based on an objective. So they're what's going to give you all of your content update. Now you can see here are my posts from the week, and straight away I can see what statistics they have per post. And I can also go and have a look at my stories and look at the reporting in one go. Now, when I'm looking at the content that I'm analysing, what I'm looking for are certain things. And that's to say, what is it that I posted that generated the reaction that I got? So is it people? Is it my team? Is it projects? Is it specials and offers that I'm putting out there? You need to look at that content and say what happened. Next area I'm going to look at is activity. Now, when I look at the activity, this is actually telling me how many accounts I have reached. So I have reached 643 different people. Now, reach and impressions are very different things. Firstly, reach is how many individuals have seen my content, versus impressions, how many times have these people, the 643, actually seen my content in their feed. Now, you'll see that this number is higher, and that's because they've actually seen the content multiple times. Now I can also see here that the days of the week in terms of what activity is performing best, and it looks like Wednesdays does quite a good job here. And I'm also looking at how many interactions have happened in this 7-day period. Now, actions taken on my account could include saving my content, viewing a video. It could also be visiting my profile. So there's a number of things that make up interactions. Now, I can see again the days of the week that these interactions are happening on. Mondays and Wednesdays seem to perform quite well. And if you're ever unsure, you've got these little I information buttons that you can press, and it'll actually give you a definition of what those measurements are for an interaction. Next, you have audience. And across the top, I have a look at my audience figures. Again, this is for a certain amount of time. I've had some growth. I've lost a few followers. That's fine. This is just the chart version of that growth. And then I can see where my followers come from. So I've got a large proportion coming out of Sydney versus Bowral, where my office is. And if I just tap again on the actual blue section of the map, so just tapping here, you'll see that I've actually got a percentage for each of my followers, including my age range, a different percentage for my age range. Now I can flip between them simply by saying, show me all the men and what they are doing, versus showing all the women and what they're doing, and also what countries people might be in terms of visiting us. That's the quickest way to your insights. So again, it's going into the burger menu, going into insights, and that's where you'll be able to see all of your activity. Don't forget, this is only for a 2-week period maximum. Now, my best recommendation is to write down on a piece of paper what you think is happening with your statistics in terms of the things that you've posted and what actually generated the greatest response. This will definitely help you with your planning. Now, when it comes to looking at your analytics on Facebook, I'm going to show you this on desktop. It is the same on your mobile phone. Now, I'm already navigated to our page, and at the top here is the Insights button. So having a look at the Insights tab, again, you can see here that the page summary is only for the last 7 days, and you're going to need to change that. Again, it only takes you to 30 days in Facebook, and you can export your data here and put your date range in. Now, all of these statistics are being able to be analysed by you, but you have to look. So in the same way that you get up and brush your teeth in the morning, it's really great to set up a brand new routine that says, this is what I'm going to do each week, analyse what I'm doing, and then being able to plan and assess moving forward. So actions on my page versus page views and page previews, they're very different things. Don't forget to have a look at the rollover of the little I will actually tell you what people are looking at and how the definition of that term looks. So our post reach, which is down, And you can see how it says it's down by 31%. And it actually tells me that it's reached 50 people. And I can start to look at my calendar and say, why do I think that my posts have actually reached less people? And I can tell you already, it was the Anzac Day weekend. So we weren't online as much as we have been in the past. My page likes, if I'm trying to grow my likes, also any recommendations, videos, engagement, and responsiveness. So what responsiveness tells us is that 50% of people will take some type of response, and it usually takes about 3 hours and 10 minutes before I get that response. So that means I can also start looking at what time am I making my posts happen, and maybe I'd like to refresh that and change that. Now, post engagement is fairly significant. A lot of people measure their post success based on the times that people have engaged, and an engagement means a reaction, a comment, a share, or a click. Now, what you need to keep in mind in all of this is a lot of people still use social media without an engagement. They don't react or comment or share or click on everything that they see, but they certainly see it and they certainly read it. So only look at your post engagement if reading, seeing, clicking, and sharing are the number one goals of you putting that post out there. Thanks for joining me on this webinar. I hope you've taken out a lot of key insights and actions that you can take away right from today and put them into action for your business.